Now let's talk about those principles in the third section after general and management disclosure. So now let's talk about those principles. So there are nine principles, as I said earlier. So principle one talks about how your businesses you should conduct and govern themselves with the integrity and in a manner that you are following ethical behavior, how you have the accessibility to all your stakeholders regarding your policy mechanism, how you are bringing your decisions top decisions about your company and how you are disclosing to all your stakeholders, and also you are taking accountability and how you establish your governance structure which is in line with the sustainable development goal 16 number SDG 16, which is about peace, justice and strong institutions. So when you do the disclosure for your sustainability reporting under BRSR principle 1, you have to do it thorough study and introspection of each and every disclosure, and you need to write the reporting in line with this principle 1. So then comes to the principle 2. So when we talk about principle 2, it's about basically how do you ensure in your business and operation that you are providing goods and services in a manner that is sustainable and safe. So that means it doesn't have a negative impact on the community or individuals. So these are sustainable and these are safer when you talk about the consumers. And this is very much in line with the SDG 12, which talks about sustainable production and consumption. Similarly, when it also includes safety and resource efficiency, when you design it, when you manufacture it, so how do you address its life cycle approach, which is cradle to cradle? You can define your boundaries for that, but that's very, very important because how you are minimizing your overall environmental footprint that becomes very important. Then that's why only you can optimize the resources and you can say that it is a sustainable, it is a reliable, and it is a safe products and services which you are offering to the customers. And it is also about to understand that material sustainability issues in the have you addressed that in the product life cycle and supply chain of the vendors, which is very, very important, we need to address in the principle 2. Now if you look into the principle 3, that's more about that how you promote the well-being of all employees, not only the employees but also their families and entire value chain. So from where you are purchasing the products, purchasing the goods, purchasing the raw material, so you have to see taken in the consideration all the employees, like all the stakeholders who are part of your value chain system. So apart from that, SDG 8 is also very important in principle 3 because it helps you to promote diversity. And when I talk about diversity, that means it's about equity, dignity, and well being. And basically, it's a provision of decent work, good work practices. So, well being of employees and their family is also one of the inclusive aspect, in the principle 3. So, it is not just restricted to employees, but their family as well. So, if you look into the principle 4, next. If you look into the principle 4, that talks about the interest and responsiveness about the company towards its stakeholders, not only their own employees but also it is you have to include the impact of your businesses on the natural resources, habitats, communities and environment. So it is a very macro level understanding of your impact of your business and operations or the larger societies and environment all, even to protect the interest of vulnerable societies, marginalized societies. Those are very, very important aspect under the principle for disclosure. You cannot ignore this. So you have to see at the community level as well as the individual level, which is very important in the principle 4. And also you have to maximize the positive impact and minimize the adverse impacts. So basically all these principles are giving thirst to follow the good practices in overall business operations. So why how you can become more sustainable, more responsible, not only to your employees but also the larger section of the community and the vulnerable people of the society as well, and you count that impact, which is very important. Then coming to the principle 5, it is very, very important because it talks about human rights. So it is very important for the human resource department of any organization to have such policy mechanism where human rights are very well addressed as an indivisible manner and no discrimination. And even if you see the inspiration from Constitution of India for this principle 5 has been considered even by the UN guiding principles also. So this is what human rights, it defines the responsibility of business towards the human rights. which is very, very important, need to address when you write the report under BRSR protocol. And if you see the principle 6, this talk about when you need to make efforts as an organization to protect and restore the environment. Let me tell you, the principle 6 is just more about environment. It is a complete portfolio, 360-degree, I would say the portfolio of environmental, all consideration, which defines your environmental responsibility, your environmental consciousness towards all the aspects of environment. If I talk about biodiversity, if we talk about pollution, if we talk about natural resources, if we try to address climate change. So all the mitigation measures, adaptation and resilience. So all these factors need to be taken into consideration under principle 6. So very, very important. How do you map? How do you see the stats of your energy efficiency? How do you see your consumption patterns of these particular resources which affects your environment? And how do you see the nature-based solution which affects your biodiversity? How you can revive that? How you can repair that? So those aspects are coming into the picture under SDG goals 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. So basically, when you look into the principle 6 disclosure, here very important aspect is we have to assess the environmental impacts, and then we have to also formalize the strategies and steps to minimize it. This is what the entire the strategy when we consider this environmental management at organization level. First, we find the impacts, then we formalize the strategies, and then we define the resource allocation, we define the responsibility, then we measure and monitor continuously to achieve some sort of performance in terms of environmental performance. So that may be your energy performance, that may be your water performance. You may be good at any subject of related to environment. So you can consider, how you relate your business with environmental aspects, because that is case to case. And apart from that, you have to also look into the precautionary principles at all the actions you follow within your organization. If you are a manufacturer, so what kind of the manufacturing facility you have, so how do you map your pollution aspects there, how do you see your environmental impacts there. If you are in the real estate player, so how do you map your energy efficiency, how do you see water or all other usages or material efficiency. So it is case to case, and depending upon the business you do. So your environmental goals and settings and your management practices depends upon the type of business you deal with, and you understand its impacts. You do the inventory of that, then you define the strategy about that. So it's just about that. Next. So principle 7 basically talks about more regulatory policy and how your organization is doing engagements with the local governments, and also looking into the redressal of grievance and influencing the public policy. So to expand the public good through public policy advocacy, it is addressed in the principle 7. And principle 8, it talks about inclusive growth and equitable development. So basically, if you see the 135 section of the Companies Act under 2013, you will find that it is moreover about the development of the country. So how we see the principle 8 in such a way, so how the companies could contribute for their nation's agenda and its regulatory framework at national level as well as regional level. So how do you see your all strategies which you are formulating for your company, how it is in line with the nation agenda, which is very, very important. Just like, we have a net zero 2070 goal set by our prime minister. So how do we are also looking as an organization about our decarbonization roadmap. So how do we see all those aspects within our company boundary? So that is very, very important. So if you see principle 8 again, so it has the collaboration between three aspects. One is the government, business, and civil society, because these three parameters are interdependent on each other. So these three are very, very important in the principle 8 disclosure. If you see the principle 9, it basically talk about it's about the value to their consumers in a responsible manner. So basically it address SDG 12, where we are basically addressing that how to minimize excessive consumption, so that for the consumers as well as the planet for both. So how do a company or business see this particular aspect at a micro level inspection they do, and they understand the need of this particular aspect and try to reduce their consumption patterns. And they have a worry for the planet, they have a they are also looking into the interest of the consumer about their health and well-being, everything. So how safely they are selling the goods and services to the consumer. So how they are creating the value for both. It's a win-win situation. So principle 9 is also very, very important and in line with the SDG 12. But if you see that, we have some essential principles for the disclosure, and there is a voluntary disclosure. So we can choose essential or must in the disclosure. When I'm talking about the requirements, when you write the reporting framework, essential you cannot avoid. It is a must. But when it is a mandate, voluntary part, which is additional, then you can choose whatever the suitable to your organization. What is your materiality issue? You are doing the inventory accordingly. You can pick the specific area. So that is up to you, depending on the type of organization you are dealing with and the type of business you are doing.